Hello, and you are now listening to the Depop podcast. Don't ask me why I do a French accent while doing the Tapped In podcast intro. I just can't help it. Anyways, welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Baeley. Don't know why I said my name like that. Anyway, I'm near an airport, so I apologize if the audio is a little fucked up. If you hear airplanes, unfortunately, as soon as I start recording, I just hear all these airplane noises. So, that's just kind of how it goes. But anyways, welcome back to the podcast. As you guys know, it is summertime, and I am feeling a new energy this summer. I am feeling a lightness. Some debris just fell off a tree, and that was just caught me off guard. Anyways, I'm feeling a lightness in the air this summer. I'm feeling, even though there is a lot of heaviness, there's a lightness to it. There's a campness to it. And even though you might not feel it now, you're probably going to feel it one day, or maybe you'll feel it next year or whatever. But regardless, I feel that this summer is harnessing a lot of carefree, vibrant energy that I'm very obsessed with. I'm seeing a lot of people talk about on like TikTok and stuff how this summer they just want to just express freedom in their own way, express freedom in a way that is letting their hair out, driving with the windows down, playing their favorite song, going on trips, experiencing free will. Like, I'm just getting a lot of vibrant energy when it comes to how people want to express themselves this summer, how they want to express on social media, all this stuff. I'm getting so much beautiful insight and inspiration from people this summer, and I'm getting a lot more inspiration than I normally have. And in today's episode, I wanted to talk about how you can harness this energy and how you can be able to have a carefree, light, vibrant summer, even in the midst of feeling pain. I really do think that there is a way for us to be able to harness our pain into making it a healing spiritual process, but also make it something that is, dare I say, camp. Because when I think camp, I think like a really cheesy show with a heavy topic. When I think camp, I think like Lana Del Rey, because a lot of her songs have deep meanings to them, but I also feel she's very camp about it. And maybe she's not trying to be, but that's just kind of what I'm getting out of it. And granted, when you think about not all music, but because not all music is camp, but when you think about a lot of new music that's coming out, I feel like it is very camp in a way that's like, this is so unserious, but it's so good. It's just like it wouldn't be unserious if there wasn't a serious hint and tone to it. I don't know if that makes sense, but I feel like what makes stuff camp is when you lighten up heavy stuff, as when you lighten up things that might have a more heavy attachment to them. And not doing it in a way that's mocking it or glamorizing it or whatever, but you're doing it in a way that's artistic to get the point across. To me, camp is things coming across as unserious, even though there is a heavy, deeper meaning behind what they're singing about, what the video's about, what the movie's about, what the show's about. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like there's such a campiness energy to the summer, and maybe it's just me, but I just feel like a lot of us are wanting to experience freedom in a very campy way. A lot of us are wanting to experience freedom by wearing what we want to wear, walking around with a bathing suit, driving with the windows down, blasting music, letting our hair out, and not feeling like we have to constrain to societal norms of how we think we should look or how we think we should dress or whatever, what we think we should post, especially whatever. I feel like there's something in the air that is light, that's vibrant, that's even though you might be going through things, I still feel like that there's a campy essence to it that you can add. And I want to tell you how you can add that to your life. So how can you make your life more camp? That's essentially what this podcast is about. So, step 1. I feel a way to add more camp energy to your life if there's a bit of a heaviness added to it is, and I've said this a million times, I'm going to say it again, alchemize it. Alchemize it. I'm going to say this till the day I die. Anytime you're feeling some kind of pain, and this pain goes towards certain things. I'm really not talking about grieving death or anything like that, because that has a lot more layers to it. I'm more so talking about things that are heavy and that hurt, but can have a more light energy to them that you can alchemize. I feel like grief is very different because you have to go through phases with grief. I feel like when it comes to heartbreaks or losing friends or the changing of a situation, starting a new chapter, the dying of an old self, just kind of like losing old people, kind of just like adulting, quote unquote. I feel like there are a lot of ways that we can kind of romanticize those things instead of grief. And I can only say that because I just don't know what it's like to grieve. But then again, take everything from this video with a grain of salt. If that's what you're going through, I would say take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt, because we're all going through very, very different things. But I'm just saying that if your situation is something that is very, 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 very deep and heavy, like a death, I think that is something that should be felt and acknowledged and experienced. And I don't think that there is any way to really, not saying that any of these things are masking. I think that there's just a way to use the pain that you have and make it into something that maybe isn't as heavy. But when it comes to death, I don't even know where to begin. But what I mean by alchemize, so in the beginning of the summer, I was listening to Summertime Sadness a lot by Lana. And I'm sure you know the song. I mean, duh, who doesn't know the song? But at first I was very much so like, yeah, this is like the summertime of sadness, because there's so much that I have internalized and am internalizing on a daily basis, and I have very much so felt a lot of heavy feelings this summer, especially before the summer. And it hasn't been like the lightest summer I've ever had. Let's just say that. And granted, I feel like every year has its own individual struggles and everything, but this year feels very different. This year feels very heavy in a way that, like, I don't necessarily want to sulk in it. I want to use it. Like, I want to use this pain. I want to make something of it. So if you have some sort of outlet, whether it be working out, whether it be your sewing hobby, whether it be crocheting, whether it be learning something new, I feel that there are so many ways for us to harness our sadness or our pain and alchemize it. And I feel like alchemizing can only do so much as well. I do want to preface that when you alchemize, I really think that it helps within the moment because your mind is somewhere else other than the pain, or you're figuring out how to take the pain and use it. But there are going to be moments in the process of going through things that you can't use it. Sometimes you just have to feel it. And I think in those moments that you really just feel it, I really think that we can also harness it as like, damn, this is summertime sadness. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it sounds so dumb, but I really think that once I was listening to Summertime Sadness, I was like, wait, it works. Like, I got that summertime sadness. Like, I just feel like we can use our pain and not only alchemize it into a way that benefits us, but we can also change the way we look at it. We can look at it as like, oh, damn, like I'm really fucking sad right now. Like this is the worst summer ever. Or we can look at it as summertime sadness. Oh my gosh. And it sounds so dumb, but I'm telling you, when I altered that mindset for some reason, I was starting to look at my situation as kind of like a movie. Like I was starting to look at my situation as like, this is a very important, pivotal part for the main character. This is a very pivotal part for the main character. There is. And that can be another tip. Looking at your life as if it's a summer movie, okay? Every summer movie has a thick plot. Every summer movie has a love triangle. Every summer movie has some sort of thickness to it, okay? No summer is amazing beaches, sunshine all the time. There's rain, there's crying, there's solitude. There's so much that goes in with a summertime movie. And I personally feel that the best summertime movies are always the ones that have to do with some sort of loneliness or sadness or grief, because at the end of the day, like, that's what we go through on a daily basis. So of course, like, summer doesn't last forever, and I know that it's going to come to a close, but I really think that we can be present within our feelings by changing the way we look at them. Instead of looking at it like, oh shit, my life's over, all this shit is happening to me, I have the worst life ever, blah blah blah. We can look at it a little differently, with a little more lightness, and we can look at it a little more like, yeah, I'm really fucking sad, but hey, I just got that summertime sadness, you know? And then once I started looking at things like that, I was like, I started looking at my heartbreak as I started romanticizing it a little bit. I was just like, yeah, like, I am going through a summertime sadness, and it is sad, and it is heavy. Wow. You know, I started journaling about it, and it just kind of was coming off as this more fun, light energy to it than just this, like, extremely layered piece of pain. Does that make sense? My next piece of advice: do something that you've always wanted to do. I'm serious. I've been reading The Artist Way. I recommend it 100 million %, of course, just like everyone on fucking TikTok. But I heard of this book before TikTok, before it blew up on TikTok, so I can say that I could be one of those people. But regardless, I feel that when we do something that we've always wanted to do, whether you've always wanted to take a singing lesson, whether you've always wanted to go to a pole class, whether you've always wanted to learn how to roller skate, whether you've always wanted to whatever. Someone is smoking cigarettes near me, or a cigar or something. That's intense. When we do something that we've always wanted to do, there's something about feeling so accomplished after doing it. Granted, there was this one time that I was in LA and I took a dance class, and it was so hard. It was so hard. The dance was so hard, and everyone in the class, every single person in the class except me was good. Every single person. Every single person knew every single move except me. And I was just like, wow, this is embarrassing. I was embarrassed. For sure, I was embarrassed. So, you know, sometimes when we get out of our box and we try something new, it is very uncomfortable. But I'm glad and I'm proud of myself for even going, because if I never went, then I wouldn't have known that I need to work on my dancing as much as I need to. So I 100% say that if you've always been wanting to learn how to sew, if you've always been wanting to learn how to skateboard, take the initiative and go to that class. Find someone that knows how to do what you like to do and ask them, like, hey, are you free for an hour on this day? Like, I'd love to, whatever. Like, once you take the initiative to be like, I'm going to learn this. Sorry, the lighting looks cute like this and it's gone. Once you take the initiative and be like, you know what? I'm going to learn how to do this. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to blah, 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 XYZ. I think that we can actually be super proud of ourselves that we're, first of all, getting out of our head and doing something that we've always wanted to do. And second, we can feel proud of ourselves for not letting it harness in our minds. And we're not letting it, like, sit in there and be like, what if? We're taking initiative. And we're being like, you know what? I'm done thinking what if. I'm just going to fucking go and do it. Okay? If you've always wondered, what would it be like if I did a solo road trip? Take yourself on a little road trip across your state. It doesn't have to be a whole week or weekend cross road trip experience. It can literally be just you driving to the furthest, 2.5 hour town away from you, spending the day there, and then driving home, or like maybe booking a hotel for the night. Like, there are so many things that we can do to get out of our comfort zones, get out of our shell a little bit, and then we'll feel so proud of ourselves that we did it. Even if it doesn't go to plan, even if it doesn't work out, we can still be like, but I did that. But I did that, And I think that's really important. And I think that's a great way to experience some freedom in the midst of the summer. I think posting, and it's been very prevalent with a lot of people on social media recently, but posting what we want is so fun. I love seeing people post what they want on social media. It has been so inspiring. And granted, I have a really weird relationship with social media right now. And it's very much so like, I'm good and I'm doing good, and then I'm on it too much and I'm distracting myself and I'm comparing myself. So it's a really, really weird balance between me having a positive relationship with it and then me having a negative relationship. So personally, I think that the only way that I can have a healthy relationship with social media is if I, of course, create the algorithm that I need to see, but that's mostly on TikTok. On Instagram, it's a lot more comparison shit because obviously people are just posting highlight reels of their life and it's not reality. But I feel like TikTok is a lot more of people just like posting lip sync videos, and just a lot more campiness is on TikTok. And, even I see like not the happiest things on TikTok, which doesn't make me feel very good, and that's why I have to get off of it, because there is a negative side of TikTok. But I also love seeing the positive side of people just being like, fuck it, I'm just gonna post what I want to post. And I get so inspired by those people because they are inspiring me to just be like, just fuck it, who cares, just dive in. No one's gonna think about you after they scroll, and if they do, boom, okay. Regardless, I feel like posting what we want to post and being ourselves on social media is quite literally the only thing we can do. And I think authenticity is the best way to just live your life moving forward. But I think this summer is a great place to start. I also think that being in our most authentic form is a great way to be this summer. I have very unshaved legs, okay, and armpits, and my hair is as natural as can be. I've been low-key eating whatever I want. I probably shouldn't be doing that, but I have because it makes me happy, okay? And I've been just in this headspace that's very much like, I just want to be me. I don't want to feel like I have to follow some sort of strict rule book. I don't want to feel like I have to teeter around the lines of like, oh gosh, I have to be here at this time and blah, blah, blah. Of course, there's things I have to do. There's responsibilities that I have. There's things I need to check off my to-do list and X, Y, Z, like, of course there's things I have to do, but I romanticize the things I have to do. If I have to be on the phone for a few hours, talking to school or talking to insurance companies, or if I have to spend hours and hours on doing homework, guess what? I'm going to do it in a bathing suit. Or guess what? I'm going to make my coffee and do it with my little coffee. Or guess what? Before I have to do all that boring shit, I'm going to do my yoga practice. I'm going to do some breath work. That way that I feel refreshed and renewed whenever I do these things. Or maybe, ooh, thunder. Ooh. Or maybe something else that I love to do is reward myself. So I'm pretty sure that a lot of people do this. But what I've been loving that I've been doing recently is I've been loving being like, okay, Bailey, if you spend 4 hours on working on this assignment, then after you get to have this piece of cake. Or once you are done with editing this video or something, you can watch however many episodes you want to watch on Ginny and Georgia. Which, if y'all watch that show, please comment down below, because this new season is pissing me off. It's so good, but it's pissing me off. But yes, I feel personally that when we create a fun relationship with our mind, then we can have a more fun relationship with the boring, quote unquote, boring things that we have to do. Because of course, on top of, being an adult and on top of having to deal with adult responsibilities, we also have to make it fun in some sort of sense. We just have to. Because if I look at life in a way that's so like, God, like I have to get so much shit done, like I have so much to do on my to-do list, blah, 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 then I get really stressed and I can't do these things without a lack of patience. Once I create a mental, almost like a mental challenge, once I create, or a mental schedule, because you can write it down too, obviously. If you're one of those people that needs to write it down, that's totally fine too. But once you create a relationship with your mind that is healthy and that is positive and that is encouraging, then when you do these boring things, you have a lot more patience, you have a lot more consistency, you have a lot more admiration to get it done. Even though it's past the 4 hours, you're like, no. I want this reward, but I'm going to finish this. Or no. You know what? I've been editing for a few hours, but I just need to finish it. And as soon as I finish it, I'll feel so good. And I think that I've created this really good relationship with myself mentally, because I've been also spending a lot more time in silence, and I've been trying to understand my mind better. I've been really trying to see how my mind works the way that it works, which is another tip that I have. I think spending more time in silence, which I learned this from Emma Chamberlain, so thank you, Queen. Once I spent and spending more time in silence, I'm realizing how my brain works, and I'm realizing the dark sides of my brain, but I'm also realizing how much the lightness of my brain works. And it's a very interesting relationship, because it's like I have a lot of dark, sad, scary, anxious thoughts, but I also have a lot of thoughts that are fun and encouraging and enlightening and exciting. And there's so many thoughts that I have that are very positive, and they're manifesting, and they're just very high vibrational feelings and stuff that I wish I had in my journal so that I could write it down, but I'm like, it's okay. I have my mind, like I'll write it down if I need to, but my brain is keeping track of it all. So once I kind of spent a little more time in silence to like analyze the way I think, and analyze like, what do I say to myself in moments like this? Like, what do I say to myself? What do I tell myself while I'm brushing my teeth? What do I tell myself while I'm taking a shower? What do I tell myself while I'm driving? Like when I don't have my distractions to listen to. Like, what is the internal dialogue that I'm telling myself? In order to tie in everything together, I think that once I am learning how to have a better relationship with my thoughts, I can romanticize the boring things that I have to do. And, this could also work with, going to work. I feel like if we have a job that we hate, or have a job that we don't necessarily love, that we don't want to do forever, there is a way to look at it. Sorry, it's so windy. But there's a way to look at it that isn't so like, God, I hate my life. God, I hate this job, this, that, and the third. I think that there is a way to make it feel positive. There is a way to romanticize it. I feel like, especially after I read Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, when I read that book about, she had this season in her life where she was just working and writing and working and writing and working and writing. She just had this era of life where all she was doing was working and then writing. And to me, at the time, I don't really remember exactly what she said about that time in the book, but I feel like there's a time in life to be a student, and then there's a time in life to not be a teacher, And I feel that a lot of us young folk, even older folk, okay, it's because seasons of life change, there's a time we're a teacher, there's a time we're a student, there's a time we're wise, there's a time we're not, like I think it all just ebbs and flows, because you can be a student at 55, 65, okay, it doesn't matter what age you are, you can always have room to be a student. But I feel like there's areas in life and times in life where we do just have to go to work and be a student. And whether that means being a student at school, or being a student just in life, in your career, in the beginning of your uprise in your life, and, doing your art and learning your hobbies, like there's just going to be areas in life where we kind of need to romanticize it, because it doesn't look perfect. It doesn't look exactly how we want it to look in our minds. So we have to figure out a way to romanticize the situation so that we're not living in constant agony and sadness. Because of course we could look at our lives and look at our jobs and look at where our career is going and be like, oh man, like this sucks, like this sucks. Or we can look at it as, I'm just in my beginning stages. I'm in this area of life where I'm a student. Everything is so new, everything is so fresh, everything is so resilient. And there's just a more positive outlook that we can have on looking at heavy things in life. And I think once we figure out what's the best avenue for us, once we figure out the best mental dialogue that we can have with ourselves, we can be able to channel these energies with a more positive light. And of course, like, it's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to feel as good as it might feel one day. One day it's going to feel romanticized. The other day you're going to feel like shit, back and forth, back and forth. That's just the way of life. It's just how it goes. There are days that feel a lot lighter and romanticized, and then there are other days that feel a lot heavier and just not fun. And that is all part of the campiness of this life. That's all part of the ebbs and flows. There are areas and days in life that do feel heavier, that do suck, that do have the grimness to it. And then there are going to be days that feel so light and high vibrational. And I think we need to be able to appreciate all ends of the spectrum. We need to appreciate when we feel neutral, when we feel numb, when we feel excited, when we feel joy, when we feel heartbreak. I think that all of these feelings can be harnessed in a way that is channeling growth, and that is channeling campiness. How many times have I said camp in this video or podcast, whatever? When we decide to take our pain and alchemize it, rewire our brain to kind of be like, you know what? I do have to do this boring shit. I do have to go to work for 8 hours. I do have to do this, that, and the third. Always figure out a way to give yourself a reward. And I'm not necessarily saying the reward should be like a substance. I mean, hey, okay, I am guilty as charged. Of course, I love me a good substance every now and again, if you know what I'm saying. Weed, okay? I'm talking about weed, okay? I don't want y'all thinking I'm talking about anything else, but I mean a reward that's a reward to you, okay? Because if you smoke every single night, or if you drink every single night, maybe that is your reward. But, your body's gonna get it. Oh my. It's so crazy because the sky is so blue right here, so it just doesn't look like there's thunder, but that's crazy. I'm sure y'all heard that. I probably shouldn't be podcasting in the thunder, but ooh, it just adds a little extraness to the video. I feel that what you feel as a reward, I feel like that is something that you don't do on a regular basis. Like, I don't eat cake every single day. So that's why a reward to me is you get to eat a piece of cake, I think there's a way to create a reward that you see for yourself that is something. Be like, crazy. Like, okay, as soon as I finish this assignment, or when I get home from work, I get to watch this movie that I've been dying to watch. Like, just little things like that, I think after you could be like, okay, I'll read one chapter of scripture, or I'll read one chapter of this spiritual self-development book, and then I'll read my fiction book. Like, I think there are fun little things we can tell ourselves in our brain, even if we don't do the reward. Like, maybe you just end up getting distracted and you end up being like, you know what? Like, I'm just going to keep working on this, or I'm just going to keep doing this. I'm just going to keep doing this, whatever. I think that once we tell ourselves mentally, like, you're going to get something out of this hard work that you're doing, you're going to get something out of it, our brains automatically will just want to work on the damn project, or get through the workout, or go to work and just get through work, because we'll be able to be like, I have a reward after this. I know what I'm going to give myself. I know the gift that I'm going to give myself. Like, there's always something that we can supply to ourselves after grunt work. And it can literally be so minuscule. It could be literally like, okay, if I work really hard today, I'll get my nails done tomorrow. No matter how much money I make, no matter, how shitty this workout goes, no matter whatever the case may be, no matter how much work I get done, tomorrow I'm getting my nails done. It's set in stone, whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm getting my nails done. You know what I mean? Like, it can be small little things like that. Like, as soon as I journal today, I'm going to make my coffee. So all I got to do is journal, then I get to make my coffee. I just got to journal and make, you know what I mean? Like, we are able to tell our brains as soon as we're going to be able to get a reward out of it, we'll be able to execute what we want to execute properly, efficiently, and confidently and positively if we know that we're going to be getting something at the end of it. Does that make sense? I feel that this summer we should just do more irregular things, like fucking not even irregular, just stuff that you don't normally do, like get an ice cream cone and go to the beach, or go to the pier and watch the sunset, or if someone asks you want to go on a boat, say yes. Rent jet skis for a day. Fucking have your friend drive your car and stick your head out the window. Just write a song, write poems, just fucking like go out with your friends to a place you guys never been before, or go to Taco Bell and just eat it in the car in the parking lot and just listen to a funny podcast. Like, do stuff that you will look back on and be like, I'm so grateful I did that with that friend. Like, I'm so grateful that we spent hours of our time doing XYZ, because you'll look back and be so grateful of all the random shit that you did. I can look back at being a child and being like a teenager, and I'm so grateful for all the random, it's the side quests. It's all the random little side quests that you did with your friends that stick the most, to me at least. Of course, the significant moments stick, but for some reason, when I think about the side quests me and my friends made, and the funny little videos, and just the weird little campy shit that we did, I'm like, bro, that is what living's about. It's literally about the little things. Like, it really is about the little things. And I'm going to make a whole podcast episode about the little things, because, and that's kind of what this episode's about. It really is about the little things, but I also am speaking about really heavy things that are happening to us as well, that do hold a significant amount of weight, and how we can be able to alter it and channel it. And it's all through a mindset. It's all through our actions that we take. And I think that when we do look at life as, okay, this shit is serious, but it doesn't have to be that serious, okay? I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself to make it more serious than it actually is. Once we harness that mindset and go like, okay, you little thing, you little thought that keeps nagging at me, stop. I heard you enough, okay? Once we harness her and be like, you know what, she's being very loud, but like, we're just gonna ignore her and eat this ice cream, okay? Like, of course I don't want you to ignore your bad thoughts, because of course they're trying to tell you something, but there comes to a point where it's getting it's a little taking too much control over you, babe. Like, it comes to a point where it's quite literally having control over your life, and it's having control over the things you do and the way you treat people, the way you treat yourself. It's just having too much control over your life. And once you realize, like, you know what, these thoughts, these actions, this way I'm speaking to myself is having way too much control over me, then I think we can really start taking an initiative to protect our soul, our inner child, our being. That's another thing. Listen to your inner child this summer. Listen to her. What does she want? What does she want to put into your room? What does she want to read? What does she want to watch? Okay? What do they want to drink? Wow. That's crazy. You want a juice box? Give your inner child a juice box. Okay? It's about time. Something needs to happen. And there's a way to do it, to make it positive, to make it exciting, to make it enlightening. And once we start listening to our inner child, what our inner child wants, what our inner child needs, that's when the fun little things start to happen. That's when we have the funniest little phone calls with our friends. That's when we make the funniest little videos. That's when we just write without caring. That's when we just make shit without even caring what the outcome's going to look like. Because when we were children, we didn't give a fuck. Okay, we were just children. and we just wanted to frolic and have fun. And I've been thinking about being a child so much recently because I really had so much innocence. I had so much innocence, and I had so much ignorance. I just saw lightning. And I had so much ignorance about what life was like. I was just being a child. Sorry, this lightning is insane. I was just being a child. I was just playing with my Barbies. I was just playing in the pool, not a care in the world. And like everything that was meant to happen was supposed to happen because that was God's plan. And if it was supposed to go another way, it was supposed to go another way. And I think that when we were children, we just harnessed so much presence. And what I'm noticing in adults and in adulthood, we're constantly thinking about how to make more money and how to be successful and how to, pay rent, which is all valid and viable. Is that a word? Whatever. All valid things to be thinking and feeling. But I think that childlike wonder and curiosity is something that we should not lose. And when we figure out how to not lose that childlike energy, and when we figure out how to not lose that childlike curiosity and that excitement for life and that excitement for presence and what's next and all this stuff, like I look at children nowadays and they just look into space. Like when I pass kids, when I'm like on the street or at the mall or whatever, like they just are staring at everything. And I don't know if you remember being a kid, like I remember being a kid, but I do remember staring a lot. Like I just remember not just staring at people, but like staring at things. Like I would stare at a wall and be like, how was that built? Or I would stare up at ceilings and not even think, how is it built? I would just stare out of just curiosity, out of just wonder. Like I would just look at everything like no thoughts, literally no thoughts. I would just stare at things. I would literally not only just, like I said, not only just stare at people, but I would stare at things just to stare, just to like look at those plants, look at that pretty flower, like look at all the yummy food that we're driving by. Like I would just stare at things. And I just remember before I had a phone to stare at, before I had an iPad to stare at, before I had a screen to stare at, I remember just staring off into space, and not even in a disassociative way, but I would just stare at things, and I don't even remember what I would think. I don't remember having thoughts. Okay, I'm sure I did, but I would just stare at things, and I've just been looking. I haven't been looking at children in that way. Okay, stop being fucking weird. But like when I'm out in public, I see little kids every now and again, and I'm just like, damn, like that. Like I went to the mall today, and I was just looking at children playing in like the little playpen, and I was just like, God. Remember when going to the mall was a day? Like I see kids with their parents at the mall, and they're having like a day. It's like a mall day, and they're excited because they get to have Auntie Anne's, and they get to have cookies, and then they get to play in the little playpen, and maybe get a new pair of shoes or something. Like, bro. Where's all the play? Where has all the play gone? Where has she left us? Where is play? Is she in the room? Because she should still be in the room. I think we need to find a way to let our inner child play. Because if you had a childhood that wasn't as exciting and enlightening and as playful as it should have been, give it to her now. Give it to him now. Give that inner child in you the excitement and the exhilaration that they need. Because clearly, if you're having so much anger and resentment towards things that are creative, or if you're judging people a lot, or if you're ignoring your passions, or pushing off creativity because it quote unquote wastes time, you need to nurture that little girl and little boy inside of you. You need to nurture that little kid that is begging to be heard and begging to be seen. Okay? Nourish that little baby in you, because they deserve to be felt. They deserve to be harnessed. And whether that be you watch your favorite childhood movie, or whether it be you color in a coloring book, okay? Read a child book, okay? Whatever it is, it's not going to take the pain away, but it's going to help. And I think helping yourself is the only thing that we have control over. We don't have control over the time limit of our grief. We don't have control over how long we're going to be feeling this way. But all we have control over is what we can do within the present moment. And what can you do within your present moment that you don't do on a regular basis that helps you, that relieves you, that lightens your mood, that takes your mind off of your own self and your own feelings and brings you to the moment? You know, that's what this summer's about. Bringing us back to the moment. Let your hair out. Okay, sing your favorite songs. Dance without even caring who's watching, because we need to see that in you to help us, and your inner child needs to see that in you as well. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode of The Tapton Podcast. I'm not going to be doing that every time. I'm just not. But thank you guys so much for listening to the Tapped In Podcast. And remember to stay tapped in. See you next time. Mwah. I make posts every Saturday. Subscribe to my show. Give the show 5 stars. And check out my YouTube. Okay. Mwah. Bye, guys.